The only reason why I was given the honor to earn their business, where it benefited me, is because I was willing to help them in an area that didn't benefit me at all. And most people aren't willing to do that.
Yeah.
So that is your secret sauce.
All right, you guys, welcome back to another episode of Light It Up Podcast. We are thrilled to have with us today Lauren Taylor out of Nashville, Tennessee. She's a new resident of Nashville, Tennessee, we'll say, right? Came from San Diego. Lauren is an organic lead generation specialist. She wears a lot of hats. She's in real estate. She's a business coach. She's chief marketing officer. So excited to spend some time with you today. I think we're mainly going to focus on some lead generation ideas. So thank you so much for being here.
Absolutely. Happy to be here.
Awesome.
And if Jen didn't do good on the intro, give us a little bit more about yourself.
It's so complicated, guys. I actually just realized 2 business partners that I've been in a relationship with for like 5 years don't know what I do. So I'll give you the very bite-sized chunk. So I started in real estate in San Diego. My husband was Navy. I did traditional sales, had a team, helped a lot of military who were relocating to the area. In 2018, I expanded my military relocation program that I had started there that was our organic lead generation system in San Diego. We expanded it nationwide with my business partner, who was an Air Force veteran. We now serve over 100 communities with over 100,000 military members. We're the fastest growing military relocation network in the country. And in the last 3 years, we've sold about 12,000 homes through that program and through our education program. We run it as a licensing program, so it's not a referral-based program, and you will never see my name on a real estate contract again. But people love to hear that we built the entire thing off of bringing value, helping people solve problems, and off of $0 in ad spend. So that's why I'm a lead generation specialist organically.
I'm just jealous that you're in Nashville and you're essentially retired from the rat race.
Yeah, it's been wonderful.
Yeah, right. All right, let's jump into the lightning round. John, you want to start us off?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
All right. So Lauren, who had the most influence on you growing up?
My mom. My mom. She was a top insurance broker doing healthcare insurance for companies. And probably when I was in middle school, she started her own, or late elementary school, she started her own company, brought home the bacon, and never missed a volleyball tournament. So she set my standard for what I want to be.
I love that. That's strong.
Great.
What chance encounter changed your life forever?
Ooh, man, that's a great question.
It's getting heavy.
My
heavy on a Friday.
First business coach. I was one of those people who got hoodwinked into buying a Facebook ads program, and it was the best hoodwink of my entire life because I didn't really know what I was buying, but it completely changed my life because it introduced me to looking at business in a different way. So I would actually say Grant Wise was my first business coach, but I remember having my conversation with his head sales person at the time, Mr. Hal Fisher, and now me and Hal work together on my current business, my coaching program. So it completely changed my life.
I heard head salesperson first, so I'm like, oh, which one was it? I'm just kidding.
Am I the only one that doesn't know what a hoodwink is?
Like played?
Bait and switch? Is that bait and switch is not the right word. So for instance, when we were on the call's of course, the program pricing, we're running out, it's going up to, it was like a standard sales call. And I was like, yeah, okay, let's do this. So I dropped the money and then I showed up. I didn't actually use the program. And I remember paying for a VIP day and Grant showing up and being like, so you want me to just sit here and walk you through the program that you've already bought and you've paid more money for that? And I was like, evidently the answer is yes.
Does not sound like a good start.
That's awesome.
No.
Lauren, what mistake do you continue to make over and over again?
Putting on those 10 pounds. Losing them, putting them on, losing them, putting it on. If you follow me on IG, I do walking with LT because I love content creation. It's very easy for me. I was a college athlete, so I always had someone keeping me in line and keeping me in shape. So it just doesn't come as easy to me anymore. So I try to put content on top of walking, so that way it forces me to do it. So my fans or my followers will literally message me and be like, no walking with LT today? I'm like, fine, I'll go for a walk.
It's accountability, whether you like it or not.
Yeah.
Yep.
I don't know what happened to my last card, but I'm going to use my original one. If you could spend the whole day with someone dead or alive, who would it be and why?
Oh, my kids. Why? Because they're my kids. If you have any other answer, you're not doing it right.
One of the last episodes I asked that and they said it was the kids. I was like, no, someone other than the kids. And they were like, no, just my kids. I'm like, all right, never saying that again. Never questioning kids again.
I can see where, like, my kids at Dollywood. There we go.
Dollywood.
Like doing a specific fun activity together. Yeah.
Okay.
How did your kids like the move to Nashville?
You know, it was a transition for them, but they ultimately loved it. There's, a lot of outdoor space here. We buy a house at the end of the street, so there's like deer and turkey in our backyard, and so they just it took a little bit of a transition period, but they really fell in love with it. And now they like ma'am me. They're like, yes, ma'am. And I'm like, oh. I'm like, it's so cute, but it also breaks my heart. But they're turning into little Southern boys, so.
I love that. So Lauren, walk us through the journey, because I know a lot of agents listening to this are gonna hold on to the fact that you are retired from the rat race, and now you're focusing on something you're more passionate about. So it sounds, right? Can you tell us a little bit about the journey of how you got to where you are today?
So is the question, she's not selling anymore, so she doesn't know how to sell?
No. It's you're lucky. Wow.
No, because I feel like that's like
Shots
the gist,
fired.
like that's like the
A
thing.
backhanded
People are like,
diss.
well, she doesn't sell anymore, so how could she possibly teach you how to sell? And I'm like, just because my name's not on the contract doesn't mean I'm not bringing deals to the table.
Unveil the box. Tell us how it is. Tell us how you got to where you are.
Yeah, so my focus has always been on social media. I just found it very scalable, right? I started in Buffini when I was early, like Buffini coaching. And I remember going to one of their events and the people, the big head honchos who were like up on the screen, and he was like, these are my champions. They were saying they're basically talking about how there's not enough time in the day to like write enough note cards and do enough Popeyes and, shake enough hands and kiss enough babies. And I was just sitting there thinking like, dang, like I put a video in a Facebook group and 300 people message me. Like, you guys are doing this much harder than it has to be because the game had changed. And so now, the game is much more shifted in that direction, but bringing, video into my business early on really gave me a scalable edge against my competition. So that's really been my bread and butter since the beginning. I realized that if I just create a video once, I could use that to serve 1,000 clients. And now that we do short form, 1 million clients, depending on the amount of views that you get. But that really allowed me to create a scalable resource and then ultimately kind of fast track and exponentially grow, was using those types of leverage resources versus doing it the traditional like boots on the ground way.
We were raised in the Mike Ferry organization, so we were always, we had our blinders on. So you were lucky you had that exposure before you were in Buffini, or was it after Buffini that you had that exposure?
So I'm horrible. Evidently, I coached with them and I didn't do it either, so I didn't show up either. I'm a really bad student, evidently. But I took from it what I needed, and that's what I learned. Is like I'm not going to sit here and handwritten notes. There's other ways to champion people these days. So yeah, I leaned in there. I remember, I talk about investing in this Facebook ads program. It was like very early on. And I had a choice, right? I had the Zillow guy on one line, and I had this gentleman on the other. And it was like, okay, you have two options. You can invest in renting attention from other people's media, which is really what it was, or you can invest in becoming the media.
Yeah.
And I chose to invest in becoming the media, and that changed everything.
Yeah, that's very strategic. Did you know that going into it, or was it just by chance that was the right choice that you made?
I read a book called, I say it was like Millionaire Mindset, and he talked about like basically how he had retired off of renting website space, right? You drive traffic and you rent the ad space, and that was literally his life. So he's like, I just have the freedom, and I built it once, and then I duplicated it, and I built it again, and he, the ads are what drive it. He just has to keep it updated. And that made me, I was like, what does Lauren Taylor's life look like if I'm no longer like chasing deal after deal after deal, but I'm able to invest in something that makes future Lauren's life easier. So that's when I really shifted into kind of what I call like planting digital seeds, like putting those videos out there, because I still have people messaging me in San Diego and they're like, we'd love to buy a house with you. I'm like, just curious, like what video did you see? And like, oh, this is, you did a video about 3 ways to get your closing costs paid. And I was like, I put that out in 2016.
Wow.
And guys, not on YouTube. Okay. Like I put them out on Facebook and they're still being found. So I think that there is a misconception right now that you have to be on these certain platforms and have to be doing it a certain way for it to work. You just have to be doing it. And you have to be doing it in a way that it breaks outside of your natural network. And that's really what gives you the ability to grow, more relationships.
Yeah. Good.
So it's really just more about the consistency.
Oh, absolutely. I tell people all the time, I am not special at all, but I will out consistency the shit out of you. Like, sorry.
No, that's legit.
Yeah, it's about consistency. It's about, you could build an empire off of one video a day and just slowly take back your time, slowly take back your time, slowly take back your time. And before you know it, you got 1,000 videos running on TikTok who are introducing you to 1,000 of your, ideal clients, every single month. And then those people opt into a relationship with you by messaging you or DMing you or going into your email list. And then it's only a matter of time before we're working in some way that supports my family. So you do have to, it's front loaded for sure. And a lot of people won't make it past the front loaded portion. And so they just won't ever make it. They don't see it as a long play. They don't see it as I'm planting seeds that will grow for me forever. They see it as I'm planting this seed, grow seed, grow, and like throwing water on, drowning the water, and it didn't work. And it's the long play. You got to be here for the long play.
Yeah. Well, we live in a world of instant gratification, especially, and it's only getting worse, right? I mean, we all get upset when our Amazon package doesn't come in 7 hours, or if it comes the next day, God forbid. And I think that's, at least for me selfishly, why I was so interested in calling expireds and for sell by owners, because I could meet an expired at 9 o'clock in the morning and sign them up by 2 o'clock in the afternoon, right? And you're getting instant deals. But I think it's the same thing as geographic farming, right? You're planting those seeds. It could be months later, it could be years later, where the person finally calls you after throwing out 1,700 of your postcards.
But ideally, you couple them both, right?
Right.
You do the thing that feeds you today while you invest in the things that feed you tomorrow.
Yeah.
It's one of the reasons why you can edit this out, why probably all three of us ended up at EXP, because I wanted to sell homes, right, and get in a relationship with people today, but I also wanted to build a downline because I wanted to do something that was going to make Lauren Taylor's future life easier, right? Yeah. So you have to do both. And most people will do one, right? They'll do the thing that's going to feed them tomorrow, and then they'll have to go get a job because they didn't figure out how to feed themselves today. Or they will do the thing that feeds them today, and it will never become easier for them because they never invested in feeding themselves tomorrow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's interesting. They say how real estate's actually a commodity, and it's like the person who's the best marketer will win that market share. So early on, you're taught it's a sales job, and it is sales to a certain extent, but that's for instant gratification. But if you want to build a brand, it is about the marketing that you develop and the niche that you create within that market. And it's just an interesting thing to think about. You could do the social media platform stuff, but then it takes a while to get a response. And because it takes a while to get that response, and maybe the intention isn't there because you're just putting it there aimlessly, because there's not a magic book that says this is how you do it to be successful yet. Or am I wrong?
I got pretty quickly. So here's the key. You want to know the trick?
I'm going to take notes.
Write it down.
Yes.
Here's your piece of paper, guys. Mm-hmm. Give without the expectation of return.
Yep.
And give when it does not benefit you. Most people will not give when it does not benefit them. And therefore, they will never earn market share and they will never earn the relationship. I didn't start by saying, hey, I want to help you buy a house in San Diego because you're relocating here as a military family. I started by saying, wow, no one helps renters. And because no one helps renters, our military families are getting taken advantage of in rental scams, and the FBI is now issuing warnings. So someone has to step up and solve this problem, and the military is not doing it. So what we do? I put something out, and I was like, hey, I don't care if you're going to buy. I don't care if you're going to go on base. I don't care if you're going to rent. Come here. My team, we're going to figure out how to help you, right? And when I did that, I put out a landing page with that message basically saying, hey, this thing that no one's willing to help you with because it doesn't benefit them today, I'm willing to help you with it. And we had 100 submissions in the first 3 hours. And I was like, wow, I better figure out a scalable way to do this or we are screwed. So we put them all into a Facebook community, and that's when San Diego PCS Pay It Forward was born. And we started educating and Teach a Man to Fish program, right? We don't go get you the rental. We're going to teach you how to get the rental yourself. Mm. And we're going to teach you how to negotiate your lease. And we're going to teach you how to identify when it's a scam or whatnot. But the only reason why I was given the honor to earn their business where it benefited me is because I was willing to help them in an area that didn't benefit me at all. And most people aren't willing to do that.
Yeah.
So that is your secret sauce. is to give without the expectation of return. You also can't be pissed off if those people choose not to use you, because believe me, a lot of them will.
Yeah.
But you will be honored with the opportunity to help a lot of people if you can just help them solve their problems. Alex Hormozy says it. If you can help people solve their first problem for free, they will hire you to solve their second problem. And that has been my stance on any type of content, any type of messaging, branding that I've ever created. There has to be some sort of value first, mentality, and that's really what's helped me grow so significantly. All of my brands.
So just to understand your platform there with so you're helping them on the rental side with sort of the hope and the expectation that when they're ready to purchase, they're coming back to you. Is that my understanding that right?
For most relocating military families, they think that they're going to rent, period.
Yeah.
Because they don't know any other option. They don't know the local landscape. They don't know the local market. They don't know any of those things. So it's not necessarily that they've decided to rent. It's that when I find out that I'm coming to San Diego in 6 weeks, you want to buy a home? Like, oh my God, no. Like, I just found out I'm coming. Do you want to go on base?
Right.
Well, there's nothing open on base, right? So it becomes like a natural elimination of their options. And like a third of them end up having to purchase. They don't want to purchase. They end up having to purchase. So then you're, essentially in the opportunity to earn the relationship there.
Yeah, that's great.
So I think the other lesson learned here, and I built a lot of my businesses, is that it's not necessarily about starting at discovery phase. So if you guys think about the consumer funnel, right? Organic lead generation doesn't start at discovery. It does not start at, I'm on Zillow and I want to buy a home. It starts with what do they do before they get on Zillow? That's where I've made my business. So by the time they're opting into Zillow and they're looking for someone who's willing to do a transaction, my people are not going to Zillow because they already have Lauren. So I cut them off before they ever get to you. For instance, I was on Facebook years ago, and there's the best example. I got my dog. He's a basset hound. His name's Bacon. He's adorable. We brought him home. We were so excited to have him. The moment I posted a picture of Bacon, all over my newsfeed, right? Steam cleaners, carpet cleaners. And I was just this is so brilliant. Why? What's the precursor to people buying steam cleaners?
Shedding.
Of course.
Getting dogs.
Yeah.
Yeah, kids and dogs, right? So messy things. And so that is the strategy that's worked for me in all of my businesses, is not necessarily positioning, hey, you want to buy a steam cleaner, but hey, you just got a dog.
Right.
And so stepping up that consumer funnel to build a relationship longer and more effectively with the potential client.
No, that's smart. Was there any issues? I know that when Facebook had that Privacy Act, that's when the targeting leads got very difficult from them closing down that information. Is there still a way around that you can make it work?
So, you're making the assumption that we're doing paid ads, my friend.
Oh, yeah, fair
$0
enough.
ad spend.
Good point.
We found where our people spend time, and we spend time there. So it's a bad example, but if you're looking to marry someone for the money, are you going to go to a local dive bar? No, you go to the martini bar, you go to the country club, right? Some of y'all are trying to build businesses with people who want to invest in Airbnbs, but you're hanging out around the dump. So find out where your people spend time online and in person, and make yourself a part of that community in every aspect. That's how we've built it organically.
Nice. And you said that you started your Instagram from mid-December, and right now, hopefully by the 100%, by the time this is released, you're going to be having over 100,000 followers. How did you do that in such a rapid time, small amount of time? Well,
first tell us what you were talking. You said you were talking shit about Instagram before you joined.
I was talking
because you were big on. You said you were big on TikTok first.
Yes.
Which is sort of backwards, no?
No, I don't know. I think it depends on who you ask. I think it's a personality thing. So I was big on Facebook groups, but you don't get a lot of street cred for building a massive, believe me, the people didn't know I existed. And then I got tired, honestly, of losing to people who had bigger brands than me, had invested in building their personal brands, brand forward. And I enjoyed being just a Facebook group person where no one knew who I was. That was really nice. But my business has benefited more from me being willing to put myself out there. So for TikTok, I really was frustrated with losing opportunities to be in a relationship with agents that I could serve to people who had done it better. So I was all right, I'm going to do this. I went 30 days, 30 videos on TikTok, and I grew 100,000 followers in, from December 2nd, 2020 to December, basically 2021. So in a year, maybe November. But I did it wrong. I want to be super clear. I rested on my laurels. So opposed to being hey, I figured this out, I'm growing really quick, I should apply this to other platforms. I just kind of was I'm the lazy TikTok lady and this is awesome and I'm just gonna be that, and that was cool. So I really geared everything around TikTok, and then it was December, and I was like, okay, well, last year was like my year of TikTok, and this year's gonna be like my year of Instagram. And then like very quickly I realized like that's another stupid way to do this. Like it's not gonna take you a year to figure this out, Lauren. You gotta figure this out. You figured it out once with Facebook, right? You figured out how do you take value and turn it into something that people want to be around more to get them closer to you, right? Then you figured it out with TikTok. So now you're just duplicating the proven formula that you've already used twice. So if it takes you a year, like we have a problem, right? So that was kind of my stance when I came on Instagram. I started with 2,500 followers. I think it was December 12th that I decided like LT does IG. That was my year. And yeah, we'll hit 100,000. I'm at 99.7. So I really just applied the same strategies that have worked across the board, right? Giving without the expectation in return, leading with value. Who is my person that I want to be in relationship with before they know they want to be in relationship with me? And how do I provide value there to essentially allow myself to build an organic relationship with them? I think the thing I love about Instagram the most is that people will tell you, and I told you when I was only on TikTok, like the mature audience thing, like people are willing to buy. I didn't believe that on TikTok because there was great buyers on TikTok, like great buyers. 100%. I've driven more revenue through my Instagram channel in the last 90 days than I had my entire TikTok time on TikTok. So the mature buyers is very true. People are more apt to get into conversation. Messenger is like normalized, where on TikTok, Messenger is still a very difficult feature to work. And that's just provided a lot of opportunities on the business side. So I did it by being consistent, by identifying, growing trends early and kind of leaning into those techniques that were really working. But the problem is the algorithm changed really quickly, right? People usually, they don't know the difference between the TikTok algorithm, the Instagram algorithm, the Facebook, and the YouTube algorithm, and that's a big one too. So TikTok is more of an interest-based algorithm. If you and I are both interested in pink chairs, we're just gonna see content as pink chairs, okay? Whereas if we're on Instagram and you and I are interacting and engaging, we're actually swapping audiences because they are assuming that if I'm interacting and engaging with you, and you're interacting and engaging with me, that we have people who are similarly connected. So it's more of an engagement-based algorithm. So a great way to win on Instagram is to engage with accounts that have the same type of audience that you're looking to build, okay? So if you're a realtor, spoiler alert, that's not realtors, okay? It is different community-based companies, right? Local restaurants that have a big following, local congressmen that have a big following, influencers that have a big following. Those types of interactions will actually do more to help you increase your following and your ideal audience than just interacting and engaging with other agents. It's one of the reasons why agents get frustrated that other agents only follow them, because it's like this cycle that never ends, because none of them will interact and engage in their community.
That's so true.
They go and interact and engage with other agents,
yeah.
And then they get pissed off that someone tries to recruit them to EXP. It's like, dude, all you do is see agents on Instagram all day. Like, what do you want from me?
That's so, if I, like right now I'm getting notifications, it's all realtors. I would never, it's very rarely that it's someone else that's not.
Well, think about the content we put out, right? Is all realtor based.
That's true. Well, the target market's also important.
Let's just change everything right now. Mid podcast.
Yeah.
We're switching it
but
now.
that's your ideal audience, right?
Right.
So it's like perfect. So like our accounts interacting and engaging with each other is a positive thing. So if you think of it as like a battery, it's like we're creating like a super battery, like a supercharge. But and like you guys interacting with Tom Ferry, John Sheplack, like all of these people who are like big in that space, that's great for the podcast. But you guys going and interacting with Burger King is not going to do the same thing.
Right.
It's a valid point.
Right. Well, like I would say our focus, of course, for this platform is realtors, right? For agent attraction, just, collaboration, proximity, whatever it is. But, I think in our pipeline, we should have another mechanism or another platform for, buyer seller attraction.
Oh, absolutely.
Right?
Yeah,
it's
it just
different
can't be
funnel.
the same.
Right.
People want it to be the same, and you can do it, but if you're going to do it, it has to be buyer seller forward first. Because when you're winning in getting yourself in front of buyers and sellers, you will see it in the comments, and then agents follow naturally. If you target yourself towards agents, buyers and sellers will not follow naturally. So if you're looking to do both, you just need to know you have to do real estate forward, buyer seller education forward, and then the byproduct of that is that other agents will follow you because we're nosy.
And
Sorry, I didn't ask if I could curse. I didn't sign a waiver, so we're just gonna go with
You
it.
do your thing.
No waivers here.
Yeah. The one thing that comes to mind is, in terms of, I know you said give without expecting to receive anything, and don't be pissed off if they go somewhere else. So we did this based off of accountability when it initially started. As weird as it was, we were involved in so many masterminds. We were like, let's just record this and like make content from this and hold each other accountable to have these high level conversations every week. But then it's just, we were providing the value. And then people would transition to EXP after we transitioned to EXP. And then they would hit us up asking us for advice on what to do. And I'm like, wait, when did you come over? And then they're like, oh yeah, I came over like 2 weeks ago under this person. I'm like, you son of a gun. How do you have a call to action without having a call to action? Or how do you have it where it's like, people can know that they can come to you as a resource to talk if they think you might not be approachable?
So I'm a coach first. And I'm also, so why are you scared to ask people what you want from them?
Why am I scared to ask them what I want from them? Well, see, that's the thing. We never had that in there because we were like,
don't bring me into this.
I won't. Fine, I'll stay alone here. We didn't have a call to action because there was no initial call to action. So it was serving unconditionally initially.
Yeah. Well, but it's not conditional on them joining you at EXP. It's that if they want to be in a deeper relationship with you, shoot you a DM on Instagram. I'm not asking you to join me. You're starting at A. You're like, oh, listen, like we wanted to listen to our podcast, but then like Z is joining me at EXP, right? B is like, shoot me a message. So and so if you look at like the relationship of any client, right, that we meet, and then you're not going to meet the person that you end up marrying and be like, oh, step B is marry me. No, look at all the things that we have to go through together, right? So, the call to action in each one of our pieces of content or in our flow or in our pipeline needs to be appropriate to the next step. And so I think that the kind reminder of, a lot of you guys follow us because we're here to serve and we love helping agents build their business. If you ever want to know how you do that on a deeper level, shoot me a DM. We'd love to know how we can help, right? There's a certain, I don't want to say confidence, that's not the right word, but I became a lot more confident. I used to be scared to say that because it felt like I was selling to people. But now I help so many people that I never sell to in my DMs that it's like, no, like shoot me a DM. I am confident that I'm not here to sell you. So I think sometimes we get in our own heads that it's like, yeah, of course I want you to join me at EXP, obviously. But like more than anything, I want to help you. And so send me a DM and let's see if I can even do that. And then I think that really sets the expectation for this is just the next step. This isn't like the end.
Mm-hmm. I think it's the funnel parts that we forget the foreplay part completely. It's just like straight.
Most agents do. Don't worry about it.
Yeah. Is that a commonality you find in the people you coach?
Oh, absolutely. We have to look at it as linear. Okay, so I have ADD, and when I don't take my medicine, my brain is exploding in all different directions. And most agents, their funnels or lead generation is the same thing, right? It's like I'll send some letters, I'll send some cards, I'll do a video, and they just throw things out. It's a linear relationship. There is things that we do to put ourselves in front of people that we are not in relationship with. Number one rule of marketing, increase the number of people who know you exist. The best way and most effective way to do that right now is through short form video. Because I posted a 4-second video, I got 2 million views, right? Now there's 2 million people who didn't know I existed. It is really hard to lose when you have those types of numbers on your side. Okay, and now it's only a matter of time. So the next natural progression is, okay, now they know I exist. Now how can I serve them? Right? I've already piqued their interest. I've already hit their feed. They've already interacted and engaged. But why would they follow me? What's the purpose? Now, a lot of agents miss this. They just put out content for the sake of putting out content. But like, why would someone follow you? How does it benefit them? We know how it benefits you. Like, I know how it benefits me, but how does it benefit them? How do they win by following you? And then the next step is like, a closer level of relationship is, okay, you've been following me for a while, you see value in me, there's trust built, I'm like doing this consistently, maybe you've tried a couple things and you're seeing some results, and just even acknowledging that, like a video of, hey, like maybe you tried a couple things and you're seeing results. If you want to know how else I can help, I'd love to find out too. I don't know you, I don't know your situation, but if I can help, I'd love to. So shoot me a DM. And just saying that very authentically and organically, but then also being there for the people in your DMs. So the next, and then rewarding the behavior. So there's like a formula here. Reward the behavior you want more of. Feature the people in your DMs. Snapshot them. Like Susie, so glad she reached out to me. So grateful for this platform for connecting with the people I want to be in relationship with, right? And now we're kind of rewarding the cycle, if you will. So, and then lastly, there has to be some sort of transition to the next phase, right? So I've found in the DMs, at least, I can get a lot of value in helping people, but there's only a certain depth right? And you can do a lot more on audio message these days. So if you're struggling with conversion on any of these platforms and anything, do your audio message, right? So opposed to typing a response, hit the microphone button and have it send. What's the next natural step? And this is where people struggle, is like the next natural step is us like having a conversation, but people are scared to ask for it. In reality, what I'm guessing has happened with those individuals, and I'm sorry this happened to you, but hopefully it won't happen again, is that we are the leader in this relationship. And that when we stop moving and when we stop saying what the simple next step to being in relationship with us is, people start looking around. You're like in the jungle, we're weed whacking, whether it was like, all right, we're next step, like, give me a follow. Next step, shoot me a DM. Next step, right? And the moment you stop, they are like, oh, well, I just wander, okay, well, just wander away. They wander away. And then they go down the path with someone else.
Someone else gets their attention.
Who tells them the clear next step. So just being very clear about, hey, I'd love to just jump on a call and see if there's any way to better understand your goals, right? I'd love to better understand what your next phase of growth looks like. I think, what you're doing is absolutely incredible. I'd love to learn more about it. I'd love to have you on the podcast. I mean, that's the next natural step. And then identifying how truly can you serve that person. We're not going to be able to serve everyone, but we have enough resources at our disposal to serve most.
I think I'm just slowly realizing it's just similar to any sort of like sales conversation, right?
I was literally thinking the same thing. Repeat, approve, handle.
That too, but almost in a sense where it's like, let's just say you're at a seller's kitchen table and you're asking them to sign the contract, the listing agreement, and right, there's things they want to think about. Of course, you're trying to close, get the agreement signed, but let's just say they're not ready to sign that day. A lot of agents will just say, all right, well, let me know when you're ready, or I'll check back with you next week. But what we've all been taught is, hey, I'll give you a call on Monday at 3:00, set the next appointment so that they have some sort of commitment on the calendar, right?
Yeah.
So,
What's
but
the
it's
next
just
step in the relationship?
it's just managing expectations, right? And then when they do sign the agreement, they do list with you. It's all right. Well, here's the next step of our relationship. We're going to get a photographer. We're going to get keys. We're going to get signed. Whatever it is. It's just making sure people understand what the next steps of the conversion or the relationship is.
Yeah, I just feel. Go ahead.
Sorry, I was going to say you could Alex Hormozy close them and say. Usually people don't need more time to make decisions. They need more information. So I'm curious what more information I can give you to make you feel confident making a decision today.
I love that one.
I say that it sincerely is not a sales technique to me.
It's the truth.
It is sincerely that you're lacking the information that you need to say yes or no.
Yep.
Because look, if it's not for you, just tell me it's not for you. Like I talk to people all the time and they're like, look, XYZ, it's just not for me. Whatever we're talking about, it's like, great, no problem. Like any other way I can help, right? I think the misconception is like that those are techniques to get to a sale. No, those are techniques. There's a filtering technique of like, no, like, are we really truly in the middle or are we in the no phase? And if we're in the no, that's totally okay. Like there's no reason to waste our time. We'll just stay in relationship in a different way. Yeah. Our relationship doesn't have to end. It's just not going to go down that direction.
Yeah.
When you were talking about going from social media, like interactions, engagement to conversation, the thought that came to my mind was whenever, how when you're on a sales call and you get an objection, you handle the objection by repeating their objection, approving it, saying it's okay, and then handling it. In essence, if someone does message you or does have the courage to reach out and you feel like it wasn't like right away there, by reposting it on your story and acknowledging that they did that, you're telling the world, yes, I'm repeating that this is okay. Yep. Now you're letting everybody else get excited to do the same thing. Now they get introduced to your audience.
Honestly, guys, I can't even tell you how much of my success has been about me positioning myself as the easiest person to ask for help from. Like literally my tagline, like you literally anything Lauren Taylor, reach out, I'm never too busy to help, DM for help, reach out, I'm never too busy to help. Even when I was in real estate, like I learned that from Buffini. It's like, I'm never too busy for your referrals. I'm like, that's a bullshit statement. I am never too busy to help because I could care less whether or not it's the poor guy. He's probably going to listen to this podcast and be like, fuck you, Lauren.
That was strike two. That was strike two on Buffini.
Poor guy. And he's awesome. He is awesome. I just took it. I needed those to like set myself up for what worked for me, right? And some people are very successful in that program. It just wasn't my style. But that's the thing. I think the idea of like, I'm never too busy to help with your sale. Like, who is? Like, of course you're gonna make yourself available, but what happens when it doesn't benefit you and monetarily? Then are you too busy? That's what the consumer looks at us at, like.
Right.
That, well, you weren't this pumped about telling me about Century 21, and it didn't benefit you, right? And so we also have to come from the confidence of like, it's not about me. Look, I've put it out openly. Like, do any of you guys think I would sincerely threaten our relationship over $2,300.
Right.
Like, I don't want to sound like an asshole, but like, let me sneeze and make that right now. Okay.
Yeah.
We owe it to our relationships to be in the position to be able to say that, to say, I would never, ever put our relationship above this. But I wish that someone would have brought me this opportunity sooner so I can make the best decision for my family. And I don't know what that is for you yet. I know that I wish I had an open mind to know about it sooner versus closing it down because of things I didn't understand, you know? So yeah.
We're in the same boat. We went to that initial meeting in San Diego in February.
Last year.
And then we signed on like 10 months later. But it took us so long because of the fact that we were like, oh, this is great. But for so long we were thinking, oh, this is just, you know, all the normal things you hear. And it just took us a while because there was so much uncertainty or not knowing or getting clarity on it. But we knew we wanted to transition over after that one retreat, without a doubt.
Where'd you guys, where were you at before?
We had an independent
brokerage.
Okay. Man, who's your sponsor?
Colton
Colton
Whitney.
Oh, okay, perfect. Yeah, Colton's, I love Colton. It's awesome. I think Mary Maloney is my sponsor, and so we do a lot of things together. And she put it great. Like, look, for me, I was at the largest, you know, brokerage in San Diego before I came over. It was a flat rate brokerage. So I paid them $3,000 a year, basically, like, leave me alone and just like let me do my thing. But I was like, well, if I don't like it, I can just go back. Like, being an independent brokerage, like Mary was like, I was like, but that was like a big change for you. She's like, no, I saved a whole bunch on E&O insurance and I could be back in a day if it wasn't what it was supposed to be. So it was enough of an opportunity for her to take that risk. And she's like, and I'll never go back.
Yeah.
Ever. So I think the other thing is that we have to eliminate the risk for our people. You know, what is the concern and how do we eliminate the risk? You know, the risk is I come over, it's not what it's supposed to be, and I lose the cost of rebranding. I lose the time, I lose the energy. What is it? So then how can we build solutions for that person, you know, who it probably is our ideal, you know, client, and this can be applied in anything, real estate, buyers, sellers, anything. But how do you make it a frictionless process? Because the more friction, the less likely someone's going to take a step with you. The more friction that you can alleviate, then the more likely they are to move forward in their relationship with you. So one of the reasons why we earn a lot of business with the military relocation, because we're like, do you want the schools guide? Do you want the summer camp guide? Oh, you need babysitters. Let me give you the babysitter vendor list. Like, you know, and we're to just eliminate so many of the problems associated with the actual move that by the time it comes time to them needing someone for anything beyond that, we're already there.
Yeah.
That's so good. And it kind of goes back to that Alex Hormozy close, right? As weird as it is, right? It's not time, it's information that they need, right? So it's like, you know, someone who might say to a Zillow lead who's trying to transition over, I need to be there 6 months from now. But if given certain information or asked certain questions that could provide more clarity, they might have made a decision a lot quicker.
100%. It's usually because they're lacking information. I think a great way to do this, because it's uncomfortable to say you, like, John, you probably don't have all the information you need to make the best decision, right? But I found that if we take those statements that are a little bit like directed and pointing back at ourselves and say, you know what I realized after waiting 10 months of joining XP is I didn't necessarily need time, is that I didn't have all the information that I needed to make the right decision for me. So I'm kind of assuming that you're in the same spot. I'd love to just peel back the layers more of like, what information are we missing? Like, where do we need to dive in to make us feel like either this isn't the right fit or this is the right fit and we should move forward.
Yeah.
So if we point it back at us, then it's less like I'm talking, you know, it's less directed.
Yeah.
That's solid.
Awesome, Lauren. Well, this was awesome. Thank you so much for spending some time with us today. This has been great.
Absolutely. We covered a lot of scope.
Yeah.
Hopefully this was helpful. Hit us in the DMs, guys, if this was helpful. We'd love to hear some feedback. What was a good takeaway?
There's a lot of golden things in there in terms of just the one thing that I think that you do really, really well is the way that you position yourself in your audience and the way that people look at you in there. It's I feel like such an old salesy, sleazy person. When I hear the way you speak, I'm just like, I got to get better at doing that. It's just so conditioned for 10 years, but I'm grateful that you went through that. So thank you.
I think that it really truly is, first of all, when I say it, sometimes I feel like salesy. So I think that I don't know if that's a feeling that goes away because we're taught those things as sales techniques. I think we have to reframe them in our mind, like, this isn't a sales technique, this is like an information gathering technique. And so once we take that away, or even, you know, sometimes when before we were realtors, we were all really good about asking questions, right? But now it's like when the relationship's on the line or the deal is on the line, we get scared of asking the next natural question. And so I'm like, just forget you're a realtor. What's the next question you ask them? Well, when are you hoping to move? Then why the scare are you scared to ask that now, right?
Yeah,
Oh, like you're not happy at your brokerage? Like, where are you thinking about going? But it's all of a sudden like, oh, it's an opportunity. And we panic. So,
Well,
it's
the same thing as like what we were talking about before, with the Hermosi close. It's people need more information. And usually what's stopping somebody from signing a contract or a listing agreement that same day is like they want to figure out if that commission is a fair commission, right? But agents don't ever want to bring up commission. They're just hoping to God that the seller doesn't bring it up, right? Mm-hmm. Right? But some of the best salespeople, like we were always coached by Mike Ferry, he'd be like, well, listen, people sometimes don't sign agreements because of commission or
You're commissioned out, relationship, or outpriced.
So what is it? And you just put the objection on the table. Is it commission? Let's talk about it right now.
Yeah, I had a great listing appointment off of it was like the one time I did a farming because I was like, maybe I'll be a farmer. I said that and I got a listing appointment and I'd sold a property that was similar in that area. And so I went on it. And at the end, they were like so on board. They were all about it. And then at the end, they pulled out the rug, right? And I was like, what the heck happened? I am diligent, guys. I am closing doors. There were no doors left open, I assure you. And so I'm like, what is happening? Why are they like stalling, right? And so it's just like, you know what? I'm sensing some hesitancy. What's your primary concern with moving forward? And they looked at each other and they're like, we have a listing appointment tomorrow. And we feel like it would be rude to cancel this late on someone. I was like, that does sound like that would be uncomfortable. Is there anything that you don't feel confident about in our plan that you feel like you're waiting to hear from someone else? No? Okay. If you didn't have the listing appointment tomorrow, would you want to move forward today? Okay. Wonderful. If we sign today, I'm happy to give them a call and let them know that they can bring the buyer to the property. And that was like my most savage move ever. It was awesome. I called the guy.
See, you're so sweet. I was like, I in my head,
at the time
in my head, in my head, we are canceling that appointment tomorrow, but I'm like hoping she says it.
No, you don't get to this point by not having those savage thoughts in your head. But I'm not, so I was driving home and I was like, okay, I gotta do this. So I call him and he's a pretty big agent in San Diego. He's like, hold on, are you calling me to cancel my listing appointment tomorrow? And I was like, yes. I have a signed listing contract. He was like, that is savage. And he was like totally not okay with it, obviously, but he was like, okay, noted, got it. But here's the thing, if you grow up in these markets, like I was in financial services in 2008 when the markets fell out. Like the day that Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac went under, like I got in financial services. Yeah. You have to learn to read people. You have to learn to help them like get away from their own pain and discomfort. And sometimes it's not about you. It has nothing to do with you. And you're assuming it's about you, but you're not willing to ask. And it's like, it could just be an exterior problem that like you have no idea exists that could be solved like that.
Yeah. And that's the skill set that you have. That's which is amazing. So,
but some agents that are less experienced might say, was it the commission? Instead of 6%, I could do 5%. And like, and it was never about the commission, but now you've just suggested some lower commission or, is it about the price? We could always list it higher. And it's like, well, now you're just like, verbal diarrhea.
It took me a long time to realize that like, not every question is an objection.
Right.
Like I'm gonna put that on a t-shirt. Like that someone can just ask, well, like, so why do we list it? Why is the commission X? And I'm like, we assume we like tighten up, right? Versus just saying, well, like given X, Y, Z, this is our formula for success, and that's the rate that we found to be in alignment with the services we offer.
Yeah.
Okay. Like I found like 90% of the questions that people ask are not objections, and we actually make them into objections by not just answering them like the way that they are asked.
Yeah. That's a very common thing when someone's booking an appointment and they're like, do you have any questions for me before we meet? They're like, what's your commission? That's typically just them filling the void or filling the gap because they feel like they have to ask a question. Yeah. That you don't need to go down a thing, be like, well, it's a negotiation tactic with the marketing and with the other agents, and then you just throw yourself in a hole.
Yeah, you went through 10 minutes of you asking them pre-qual questions. Yeah. At the end, they're like, maybe I'll just get one question in because I don't know, this guy's interrogated me.
Yeah, I was talking about this we do like a little mastermind with my group every week, and we literally use that conversation is how like do you have any questions for me implies that they should have questions for you, but you're like opening the door. So we talked about using a closed a yes and no answer, so that way it's not open-ended. For instance, is there any other information that I need from you to be prepared for tomorrow? No. Awesome. Great. I'll see you tomorrow at 10 a.m. Don't open the door at the end. You just close all the doors and they just flood open those windows with, do you have any questions for me? And it goes right back to square one. It's miserable. Yeah.
That's a good point.
Awesome.
That's good.
Well, Lauren, thank you so much. This has been wildly beneficial for us and for our viewers, I'm sure. If anybody wants to reach out, collaborate with you, work with you on any level, what's the best way for them to reach you?
Best way is to follow me on Instagram, and if you actually message my Instagram account, the little rocket ship emoji, then it sends you a nice little message from me.
I'm about to do that right now.
Okay.
All right.
Don't tell people what it is. Okay. No, we'll do it again.
That's awesome.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for coming on.